So as a mostly plant-based dietitian, one thing that I love about autumn is that, of course, it's soups and stews weather, but you can pack in so many nourishing plant-based ingredients into these dishes. So today I'm going to show you two of my very favorite plant-based soups and stews that are packed with flavor and nutrition. And I'll also explain a little bit about why these soups are my top picks for healthy fall meals. So the first stew that we're going to be preparing is a sweet potato, kale, and chickpea peanut stew. And before you jump out of this video, I know that sounds so weird. When I first came across this recipe, I thought that there was no way that a stew that had peanut butter in it could possibly be tasty, but this has been one of my absolute favorite recipes for years. And if you've never heard of peanut stew before, it's also called groundnut stew and originates in several countries in West Africa. Everybody kind of has their own version of this stew. It's typically made as a rich tomato broth with creamy peanuts or peanut butter, if that's more readily available to us like it is here in the United States. And it's so creamy combined with the spices. It's savory. It's absolutely delicious. So you just got to believe me and give it a try if you seem skeptical like I was. And not only is this stew delicious, but it is packed with health benefits, which is another reason why I like to make it, especially as meal prep for lunches, so I can eat it several times a week. The peanut butter in this stew, as well as the olive oil that I just poured into the pan, are both considered healthy fats. They're unsaturated, meaning that they're beneficial for heart health and that they won't increase bad cholesterol in the blood. And if you're at all interested in weight management, losing weight in a healthy way, or really even just having stable energy throughout the day, this stew is for you because a balance of healthy fiber-rich carbs like we have with the sweet potatoes, protein like you find in the chickpeas and the peanut butter, as well as the healthy fats that I just mentioned before, help to balance blood sugar. Balanced blood sugar is critical to staying full for longer and also to losing weight because it creates a hormonal profile which makes weight loss easy. So I've added most of my vegetable ingredients and the tomatoes, and now I'm going to put in a little bit of broth. You can use chicken, vegetable. I just happen to have some chicken broth on hand. And then comes our magical ingredient, peanut butter. I like to use about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter for this recipe. So I'll add that in right there, stir it in. And if you're interested in this recipe, it's not my original recipe, but I will link to it below. So definitely go check that out in the description. So our next meal is going to be a soup called KHAO soy. And KHAO soy is a Thai-inspired soup. This version is not super authentic. It is my own version, just trying to approximate the flavors. And in my version, I've used some local and seasonal vegetables like acorn squash and broccoli. So I'll chop those up first so we can get them roasting. This recipe is just a little bit more time intensive than the last one because we do make our own spice paste, but don't let that scare you because it does come together really quickly, and this version creates a double batch of the paste so you can freeze some for the next time you want to make this soup, and I'd even encourage you to make a quadruple batch if you want to. I also started some soft-boiled eggs boiling for additional protein in addition to the tofu that we're going to be using. For this version of the soup, I'm making the noodles separately because I'm doing them for meal prep, and I just find that if you're going to be prepping a broth-based noodle soup, it helps to store them separately until the day of. But if you're making this to eat immediately, you can go ahead and boil these noodles in the broth itself. What I love about this spice paste is that it contains so many immune boosting ingredients, which we really want as cold and flu season approaches. So things like ginger, garlic, and shallots. And garlic and shallots contain a phytochemical called allicin that helps to boost the immune system that is actually only created when the garlic and shallots are crushed or pulverized in some way, chewed. In this case, by chopping up the shallots and the garlic along with the other ingredients in the spice paste and allowing it to sit for at least 10 minutes before cooking, all of that allicin gets formed before heat disrupts the process of formation. So if you want the most benefit for the immune system from this soup, be sure to let your paste sit for at least 10 minutes before heating it. Recipe for this soup, which is in the description below, calls for some light coconut milk, but I completely forgot to add that during this filming process. What I will say is that it turned out really well without it, and so if for whatever reason you don't have coconut milk or you're avoiding adding coconut milk to your cooking because of its high saturated fat content, then you can omit it, and I think it just tastes great without it as well. Normally, as I'm plating this up, I would have added the soft-boiled eggs that I made earlier and a little bit of cilantro for garnish and for flavor, but this time I had a crying baby on my hip, so I just kept it easy and added the vegetables, the noodles, and the tofu and poured over the broth. I hope you enjoy these recipes, and I will see you here for the next ones.